We are live, week 15, playoffs begin, the superheroes are here. You need to know the players to pick to make that playoff win and get to the semis in your league. Catboy, Owlette, all the other Paw Patrol, all the other PJ Masks, and even Jeff Mason's here. We'll be right back.
Good morning, everybody. It is week 15. That's right, week one of the playoffs, week one of 3 that we're going to take down to go ahead and get to that fantasy championship. On my left, I got my man, Joe. That's not the typical order, but Joe, how we doing this morning, man? Now that it's weird because I've never seen you and Batman in the same room at the same time. And now some things are starting to make sense to me. But how are we doing this morning, my man?
Listen, we are tapping into anything at our disposal, including running spouses, to get playoff wins today. We've already got 4 games down, and this is it. This is where we separate the men from the boys.
That's what I like to hear. And I know we're all prepped and ready ready to get you what you need, especially with my man down below, Jeff. How are we doing this morning, my man?
Hey, bud, 'tis the season for fantasy football playoffs. So come out to the coast. We'll get together, have a few laughs. Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Take it away, Mikey.
I love it. I've always been on that hill myself, to where I think that Christmas isn't complete, actually, without your fix of Die Hard. So, and anybody who says otherwise is probably not giving you good fantasy advice either. So you came to the right place. We're ready to get you guys where you need to go, and make sure you're asking your question in the comments, and we will get to it. And we're going to go ahead and lead off. Joe, how's our injury report looking today?
We got a lot to pay attention to today, and it's not just injuries. Like, we got to talk weather real quick too, because I mean, and it's easy for me to say here, I'm sitting here in Connecticut. We're about to get pounded with a couple of inches of rain, as is pretty much the whole East Coast. So pay attention to that also. We know there's no CJ Stroud at quarterback today when Houston goes and plays Tennessee. It's pretty quiet on the quarterback front. Other than that, running back is where it really gets a little hairy. We're still waiting for a update on A-Chain. He is still looking questionable. There is no report this morning. Keep an eye on him. Most start is a must start regardless, but he's a double must start without A-Train, as we know. We're looking at no Isaiah Pacheco today. We talked about that already for Kansas City. So that's Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Jared McKinnon against the Patriots. Probably not great plays despite that injury. We got Aaron Jones is expected to play now as of midnight last night, pretty much right after we signed off. We got the alert on that. So he will be playing, it looks like. They're home against Tampa, and pretty much that's a pretty big game. They got the same record this week. Brian Robinson Jr., this is another big one for the Commanders, out. He had a couple slow weeks, but prior to that, he was really banging it. Now we got Antonio Gibson, who's going to play against the Rams. My opinion, you're going to see a lot of points in that game. I think Antonio Gibson's a legit play. Ramondre Stevenson's out. We go back to the Ezekiel Elliott era there in New England. And the one thing about Elliott last week, guy had a ton of targets and catches against Kansas City this week. Pay attention to that rain. But other than that, I do like that Elliott play. A.J. Dillon, also questionable. And actually now it's looking like A.J. Dillon is not going to play. So the last couple of weeks with the Packers, we've had A.J. Dillon. We haven't had Aaron Jones. This week it looks like they're going to go back to Aaron Jones without A.J. Dillon. And I will leave it at that at running back. And real quick at wideout. Wideout's kind of quiet, I'd say. Tyreek Hill. So, I mean, really looking at it fantasy-wise and especially DFS-wise, you're really hanging on what the Dolphins are going to do. Is Tyreek Hill going to play or not? What does that do to Jalen Waddle's value? Is A-Chain going to do? Obviously, there's an increase there with Mostert if A-Chain can't make it. Hill is going to be able to make his own decision as a 9 p.m. last night, Adam Schefter said, and it won't happen until after his pregame workout. So we're still probably about a half hour to an hour away to finding out about Tyreek Hill. And Chris Olave, questionable. He's going to see how his ankle's feeling. Adam Schefter says there is some doubt on whether or not he's going to make the field against the Giants. Nico Collins is not going to play. So now you've got a Houston team with no CJ Stroud, no Tank Dell, no Nico Collins. Case Keenum to Noah Brown, I guess, is going to be the key there today. That could be some rough tread there. DJ Moore is also questionable for Chicago. He's expected to play at Cleveland. And last one I'll give you, Chris Godwin is questionable. He's also expected to play. Take it away, Mikey.
You got it. And I think that I apologize to our boy Jeff down there. I know that A.J. Dillon news, he's probably taking that hard as our resident A.J. Dillon fan. So hopefully you're sitting out still able to breathe there, Jeff, after hearing that news right there, that A.J. Dillon will in fact be out today. So
he sucks. A.J. Dillon sucks. He sucks.
Yeah, dude, it's been bad. Trans-Siberian says, okay, boys, Gabe Davis is 0. Cost me a first-round bye. He lost 77-76. Youch. Gosh dang, Gabe Davis. I think I said last week I can't trust that guy. This is why. He said he's off to a good start with the Vegas DST. He's got standard. We need 3 of these guys. We got Reed, we got Rice, we got Wilson, and Just Crush Ford. Joey Popsicle, welcome back, he says. What's going on? Let's help Trans-Siberian out. Because last week we let him start Gabe Davis, and that's just unacceptable. Jeff, lead us off here.
Well, surely part of that is on me, Trans-Siberian. So I'll send some Dr. Pepper your way. Hopefully, it doesn't get confiscated at the border. But of those choices, I mean, yes, Jerome Ford is my crush. I'm going to say go ahead with Jerome Ford because he's the running back of all of those. And then we're going to go Rice because, as we said last night, we like Rice. He seems to be the number 1 target there in Kansas City, and if you combo that with James Cook, then cook some Rice. And I'm gonna roll with oh God, I'm gonna say Garrett Wilson slightly. I don't necessarily like it too much. Him having back-to-back good weeks has not really happened from what I recall this year, but I'm still going to roll with Wilson. So Rice, Wilson, and Ford for me.
I don't mind that a bit. Joe, what do you think right here?
Yeah, it's funny too because I was like, shit, I gave some bad Gabe Davis advice last week, and then I realized I wasn't around, and I'm just thinking back to my own DFS lineup last week. But I will say I feel better about it because Shakir sucked last week too. So whether it was Davis or Shakir, it was a losing battle there. I don't understand how Josh Allen throws for all these yards and all these points sometimes, and it feels like nobody other than Stephon Diggs and I guess Kincaid is catching the ball there. But I'm going to agree with Jeff. I definitely, although I think I'm a little more passionate about starting Wilson, I definitely think Reed is the odd man out in that group, and I think I feel pretty good about that Rice Wilson Ford combo. That's a nice threesome.
Yeah, I don't mind it right there. I think I'm going to go Rice and Reed here, just because I think Jaden Reed hits the end zone today in that matchup against Tampa Bay. Jordan Love's been throwing it off the hook. I can't go with Zach Wilson in this instance just because I just don't feel like I'm confident in him wanting to go out there and, throw it all on the field like he did last week. I just don't see him having that kind of energy, that kind of focus or anything like that. So I'm fading everything New York Jets, but I don't mind that pick right there. You got the guys going with Rice and Wilson and Ford. My only argument is I'm starting Reed over Wilson, and I'm not liking that very much. But I think if we're talking standard, I like the odds of an end zone grab from Jaden Reed a little bit more than I am off of that. We got our guys. He says the Gem Jedi. He says Diggs, Garrett Wilson, or Gibson for the flex PPR. Joe, what do you know? What do you think?
A lot of Garrett Wilson questions coming up already. This is a really tough one with no Robinson. See, I'm kind of opposite with you guys in the Jets this week. And I mean, I don't love the Jets. You can't love the Jets, but they at this point, you got to believe they can taste Aaron Rodgers getting on that field. And it's very simple. It's a win away. If they win this game today, which may not have Tyreek Hill and may not have A-Chain, they are going to start the Aaron Rodgers era this year, it looks like. And I just feel like there's going to be some extra spice with them. So I got to start Garrett Wilson. God, But I the thing about Antonio Gibson, and he's a great anytime touchdown candidate too. I guess I'm going to sit Garrett Wilson here. I don't want to sit Garrett Wilson. I actually do think against Miami, who gave it up to Tennessee last week, they're going to give it up again. But when you're talking about Diggs against the Cowboys in a game where there could be a lot of points, and you're talking about Gibson against the Rams where he's the only guy in the backfield, I'm going to sit Garrett Wilson here.
I don't mind that play right there. I can't sit Diggs. I can't sit Gibson with his opportunity today. Again, I don't mind Garrett Wilson. It's just that he's coming up on the short end of the stick on a lot of these matchups right here, because I think he can do enough to get it done as well. So what do you think here, Jeff? So
I assume by the question, we're picking one out of these three to start at flex.
Oh, I picked two. I'm sorry.
So having said that, we'll circle back to give Joe's corporate term. So I'm going to roll with Gibson if I'm picking one out of the three. Not that I don't think Diggs will get some targets, but Diggs hasn't had more than 6 receptions in a game since October. And then if you're going to go up against Garrett Wilson and Antonio Gibson, I'm rolling with Gibson because Brian Robinson isn't there, and I just think that's a hell of a matchup. Mikey, you're on mute there, kid.
I am. Yep. Sorry about that. My Joe moment for the morning. Like I said, I mean, I do like the Wilson play today. I just don't like him versus the other guys that I have right there. Like I said, I think Gibson is going to have a lot more volume. I think Diggs is going to have a lot more volume. Although, like I said, it's not an anti-Garrett Wilson thing. It's just a pro Diggs, pro.
But wait a minute, though, Mikey. We got it wrong, though. We only pick one. I picked two. It's only one out of those three, I think.
So I think I got to start Diggs in that matchup just because Diggs is the guy that Josh Allen throws to consistent and constantly. I like Gibson, but it's still I can't sit Diggs. I can't sit Diggs in the fantasy playoffs. I just couldn't do it to myself. What do you guys? Does that change your mind, Jeff?
No, I'm still sticking with Gibson. I think he's going to have more volume than Diggs and more opportunity. Just coming up. We always say Ty goes to the running, or at least I do. Ty goes to the running back. So I'm still sticking with Gibson.
I think Mike said it correctly. If I lose this week and Diggs is in my lineup and doesn't have a good game, I can sleep. If I lose this week because Diggs went for 30 and I benched him for Antonio Gibson's 12, I'm going to hate myself forever. Yeah. So I'm starting Diggs, and what I would say, because I do love Gibson, I was defending Gibson against you guys last night in the DFS perspective. If you're benching Gibson for Diggs, put $20 on him to score a touchdown. Go get him on DraftKings and FanDuel and hedge the bet.
Yep. Nope. I like it. I like that move a lot right there. In fact, I'll do that if I have an opponent that's about ready to go off against me. If I need them to do bad, I just put that guy in my captain's chair and nature takes care of the rest. My MKE Wayman says, Jordan Love or Howell, Dalton Schultz or Okonkwo, PPR. Thanks. Jeff, lead us off. What do you think?
I really dislike all of those. But so quarterback wise, I mean, we talk about Howell a lot. He does have a ton of yardage, but for some reason it doesn't seem to translate well to fantasy points. So I think I'm going with Jordan Love simply by the fact that he's at home today and Sam Howell is not, and Howell is on the Commanders and they suck. So give me Jordan Love, and then I guess reluctantly I'll take Schultz since they're kind of cleaned out over there and I got to throw to somebody.
I don't mind that a bit. What do you say here, Joe?
Yeah, this is interesting because, Howell's still 6 straight DraftKings games over 20, and he has 4 rushing touchdowns in his last 3 games, but he only went for $127 yardage, no touchdowns and a pick last week. And they're at the Rams. Jordan Love, and he was getting a lot, but Love sucked against the Giants last week too. Home against Tampa. I would look at the weather there, and as long as the weather is okay. My problem with the Commanders, and I do like Antonio Gibson, I just feel like they've packed it in, and the Rams are playing for something all of a sudden. So I think I gravitate towards Love there. It's close though. As far as the tight end one goes, it's a great point by Jeff. I mean, they've got to throw to somebody without Dell and without Nico Collins. So you would imagine it's Dalton Schultz, who's finally healthy again. However, you now have the question about who's throwing it to him in Case Keenum. How do you spell this guy's name? Okonkwo. He's been getting 3, 4, 5 catches a game out there for Tennessee. He's not doing a ton with them. I'd probably go Schultz there. I think I'm going to go Love and Schultz.
I don't mind that a bit. What do you think here, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm sticking with that, my man. And it sounds like Joe's new band, Love and Schultz. I like it.
I like that too. I don't like the Schultz play as much with the quarterback situation going on there. But I do like Okonkwo. But PPR, I'm still going to lean Schultz just because if I got a new quarterback, even though Case Keenum is the exact opposite of a new quarterback right there, or an old quarterback or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I still think that Schultz is going to get targets. And then I like Jordan Love over Howell. I know I have a lot of love for Howell all offseason. And even when he's not getting passes, he's getting the job done. And so I'm just I'm going to go ahead and lean Jordan Love here, though, still, because I like the matchup. I like the opportunity. I think that they're going to win this game. I think they're going to win this game handily. And so give me Jordan Love. Give me Dalton Schultz. Love Schultz. Let's see here for the next one we got here. We got Jerome Porter, Amari Cooper, PPR. Roman Gagnon 10 says, what do you think, Joe?
I just can't believe that Joe Flacco, Case Keenum, Tommy DeVito, and I know I'm missing a couple other doozies, are starting quarterback at week 15 of the NFL season this year.
Bailey Zappi.
Sam Howell's leading. It's just this one. I'm going Jerome Ford here. He's healthy. He cleared his injury status this week. Hunt's banged up. As I say, Amari Cooper still does get the targets even with these backup quarterbacks, but he hasn't been doing a ton with them. And you just got to believe that Ford's got a much better chance of getting in the end zone. I'm going to go Ford here, but it is hard to sit Cooper. It just seems like without Robinson or Watson, nobody else is thrown to him in the red zone as much as he was getting earlier in the year, it seems.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with that take right there. I think I'm going to go with the volume play here as well. But Jeff, what do you think on this one? Are we starting? Cooper?
No. I think I'll stick with Ford because you're pretty much guaranteed he's going to get somewhere in the vicinity of 12 to 15 touches for sure. Whereas Amari Cooper is just very much up in the air, and he hasn't really. I mean, I can't recall him doing anything fantasy noteworthy since he was on Dallas, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not remembering that correctly.
He has good games every here and there. I've noticed like Amari Cooper is just a really frustrating guy to own in fantasy for that reason. Like he'll give you 1 week where he has 25, shows you his full potential. Then he'll take 6 weeks off, do it again, take 6 weeks off. And then we start talking about how he's a wide receiver too next year because he has those 4 big games without remembering that the other 8 games that we have to use him for, he's not giving us almost anything. So give me Ford, give me the volume play all day, every day. I definitely like that move.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but the schedule you just described for Amari Cooper just completely mirrors Joe's schedule throughout the year at work. So that's amazing. You got a week here, take 6 weeks off, week here, take 6 weeks off. That sounds like Joe. Well done.
Damn right. No doubt about it. I will say real quick, he had 14 targets last week, which is insane. But, he went 7 for 90 without a touchdown, which isn't a bad game, but it's just, the efficiency there on that offense right now is in question.
Yeah, no, I just, Joe Flacco, it was cute for a minute, but I think we're going to see the reason why Joe Flacco hasn't played football for a few years starting today. Transfer says, thoughts on sitting Kincaid for Waller? He says, Mikey, he likes Reed too, but how can he go against Jeff and his Wilson pick, especially after his Gabe Davis pick? I love it that he's not hitting me this time. I think last week I told him I knew Gabe Davis could give you a 0, although he can also give you that 30. I'm worried about that 0. But, Jeff, we're going to go ahead and let you lead this off. Let's make it right for our man Trans-Siberian over there in the Ukraine.
I'll tell you, that cuts deep, man. That cuts deep. I'll say, I mean, I do like both Kincaid and Waller. I was going to say Kincaid for sure, but then you got Dawson Knox back healthy over there too, so he wouldn't necessarily be the main tight end focus. Whereas Waller seemingly was kind of the guy before he got injured. I would say slightly Waller. I don't know what you guys think.
What do you say here, Joe? I actually kind of thinking the same thing, though.
I don't know. I mean, Kincaid, I think, still went for 5 catches with, I'm looking now. That's why I'm not. Yeah, Kincaid, 5 catches on 8 targets with Knox playing last week. I mean, I'm in awe of the Tommy DeVito era also. So it's not necessarily a reflection on him, but I don't know if I've seen enough of Darren Waller yet to sit Kincaid with Josh Allen playing the way that he is in a must-win game for them. I think I'm going to stick with Kincaid, but I will say we talked about this Kincaid a little bit last week, and because of Knox, I don't think he's quite as much of a home run tight end pick as he has been with Knox hurt. To Jeff's point, Knox, I mean, they love Knox in the red zone. He got 3 catches his first week back, so you definitely got to take that into consideration. I just don't think you make the move for Waller and the Giant offense yet.
Yeah, no. So for me, I'm going to go actually Waller here, just on the simple fact that I do like. I think he's going to be the guy on that offense that we see DeVito kind of start leaning towards. They've been utilizing the tight end without Waller there. I think that this is going to be something that continues with a better presence. I do like Wan'Dale Robinson today, but I do think that there's a target void there that gets added by Waller joining back. So for me, I'm leaning Waller as well. So I think that puts us at 2-1 Waller for Kincaid. And it just almost goes back to the Gabe Davis effect. I just don't want to start a guy that might be lost in the focus on that offense. I mean, this could be a James Cook day. This could be a Diggs day. This could be a Khalil Shakir day. This could, even as gross as it might sound, this could be a Gabe Davis day. So when I start looking at options like that and I look up and I say, well, is it going to be a Darius Slayton day? I'm not too worried about it. Saquon Barkley is going to get his. That's going to be obvious. But the rest of that team, I'm not really too worried about being better or out producing Waller, because they're just simply not as good as a pass receiving option. So for me, I'm leaning Waller as well. And like I said, I don't think this is a bad play either way, but give me the guy who I'm almost positive is going to get the volume there. So
I don't understand Josh Allen. Like, we got to talk about the Bills for a second again. It makes no sense, Mikey. So Josh Allen has gone from anywhere between 21 and 43 DraftKings points 7 out of his last 8 weeks. Yet Stephon Diggs, to Jeff's point, is single digits 3 out of the last 4 weeks. Where is the ball going? It's not Shakir. It's not Gabe Davis.
Did we just figure something out on this show? Is Josh Allen throwing it to Sam Howell? And that's how both of these guys are getting fantasy points at the end of the day. Like, is this something that maybe we're missing because we watch Red Zone the whole time or anything like that, and they just don't show it because they don't want the conspiracy theory out there? I think you're on to something, Joe, and I think we need to monitor this. I think Josh Allen is throwing it to Sam Howell. Stay tuned, people.
If it's not that, then you know what it is, and then I'll kill it after this. If it's not that, remember Mr. Perfect, the wrestler? He used to have those vignettes where he'd be the quarterback, and you just see the ball go in the air, and then they cut to him catching it too for the touchdown because he's perfect. I feel like that is what's happening with Josh Allen.
There you go. Now, that wouldn't shock me. Josh Allen is a stud. Although I don't know, man. Yeah, no, like I said, it's just that ball gets spread around too much on that team. For me, like I said, week 15, we're talking playoffs. We're talking we need a win to go on. I've got to go volume here. I have to just lean towards volume, and I think Waller gets that volume. Although be cautioned, because we haven't seen these two together, right? Like these guys, Daniel Jones was the last quarterback that Darren Waller had. So we have to see. But, man, he's got the talent. At the Decor Diva says Prescott at possibly rainy Buffalo or Stafford at home against Washington. Joe, what do you think here?
Well, that's good to hear, Joe. We can't hear you, but nice.
Interesting.
You should just understand this by now, right? I'm going to go back to Mikey earlier on the Diggs call that we made. I love the Stafford matchup. He's my DFS quarterback, so I would urge you to play the game. And Stafford's a great play there for the price, but I can't lose my fantasy playoff game with Dak Prescott on my bench. I can't, unless the weather is really, really, really nasty when that game kicks off, and you just can't. You're not going to be able to throw a 40-yard deep ball to CeeDee Lamb or whatnot. Other than that, I can't lose with Prescott on my bench. So I got to play Dak.
Yeah, it looks like there's about a 50% chance it's going to be storming over there. So I don't know if that's going to be enough for me to sit Dak Prescott. I think he'll still be able to get his. Buffalo's defense does scare me a lot more than Washington's defense does. Stafford should be able to dice these guys up pretty well. But that said, I have to lean with you on that, Joe. I mean, this guy can put up 40 to 50 points in some leagues. And I might need that. I might be facing somebody like the Vegas defense or something to that effect. You know, I mean, there's a lot of people out there, especially when you got games at 61 to 35 that probably didn't work out in your favor if you were facing that kind of a matchup. So if we're playing run behind or anything like that, but either way, it's week 15. I'm going for the home run ball. Give me Dak Prescott. What do you think, Jeff?
So you kind of took the words right out of my mouth a little bit there and then went the opposite way. So I get it. Dak is Dak, and he's done very well. But Matt Stafford at home against the atrocious Washington defense, who may have Hans Gruber and John McClain at cornerback. We're not even too sure with the amount of points that get scored on them. So for that factor, and you got Kupp, you got Nakua, you got a hot Kyron Williams, and that's, his play, not his look. But in general, I'm rolling Stafford over Dak. I reluctantly sitting Dak, but I think Stafford has a bigger day.
Yeah, I don't mind that a bit either. Like I said, I mean, I feel like Stafford does have himself a big day, but I just can't sit Dak, not with the way he's been playing football lately. We're going to go ahead and go. Let's raise this question up a notch right here. If I can just find it right here. It might just be gone. Here we go. At VT Boone G says, y'all, I have Dak and Josh Allen on my squad. Who do I go with today? Joe, that seemed to perplex you the most. Who are you going with right here?
Yeah. It's interesting to me, like if that's a one quarterback league, if you've sat there with both those guys all year and you didn't pull the trigger at some point to trade one of them, that's an interesting scenario. Or it could be a super flex too, and maybe whatever. But I don't know. I guess here, I think I'm going to go Josh Allen because he's home, and in a weather game, if I had to pick who can handle the weather better, I would give it by a smidge to Josh Allen. I'm going to take Josh Allen here, but it feels like a toss of a coin.
I kind of agree with that as far as the toss of the coin. I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these guys right here. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, I'm going Allen, and that brings us back to the point you guys made a couple of questions ago. Josh Allen is apparently throwing to Josh Allen and getting pass interference on Josh Allen on the same play. So we're going to go Josh Allen.
Because the yards aren't coming from anywhere, but the points are. So, yeah, no, it's like I said, it's kind of, I think we might be on to something with Josh Allen is throwing it to Howell. Pull Tab says he's here, man. What's going on, Pull Tab? Love to see you, man. He also says it again, man. Joined twice. Twice is nice. Tell your friends, get them on here. Let's get these questions answered. We got at Pandina Luke says full PPR, Swift or Raheem Mostert. Jeff, what do you think?
Dude, I mean, to me, this is the easiest one of the day so far. I think it's Mostert. It's not even close. Just even if A-Chain's playing, Mostert to me is the guy there. So don't get me wrong, Swift is talented, but they're at Seattle. It's a little bit of a tougher environment. Mostert is going to have a day, in my opinion.
Yeah, nope. I'm with you. Mostert is a must start in most cases, and this isn't any different. What do you think here, Joe?
Yeah, I agree. I was really excited about DeAndre Swift earlier in the year, but he's kind of tailed off the last few weeks, as has the Eagles' offense in general. I expect Swift to be better today, but the other issue was, this is a non-question. You're playing Mostert no matter what. The other thing with Swift that's bugging me though too is he didn't get no red zone carries, because even when they get in there, we're pushing tushes and we're going to Gainwell and we're not handing the ball off to DeAndre Swift at the 5-yard line, whereas Raheem Mostert's getting a lot of those.
Yep. Nope. Again, like I said, Mostert is a must start in most cases. This isn't any different to me. I'm going to be starting this guy just because, but I do like Swift today a lot, but there's not very many people here that I like more than Mostert today. And if you heard me last night, let's go. He says, dirty jobs in the house. Can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm going with Mike's advice. Reading Waller all day, on to round 2. I love it.
I don't remember the Waller who was against Waller, but I want to make sure, because I want to remember this one. That was Reed over Rice, right? Is that what you chose there?
Correct. Yes. No. I had Reed and
Oh,
Rice.
Garrett Wilson.
Reed over Wilson.
Got it. Got it.
Like I said, standard
That's a good
only.
one.
Like if that was a PPR, I'd be going with Garrett Wilson. The fact that it's a standard, I have more faith that Jaden Reed's going to be the guy that scores today. Where I can see Garrett Wilson giving you 7 for 65. I just don't think he's going to put that biscuit in the basket. So give me the 5 for 45 with the touchdown.
And Reed rushes too.
Yeah. Yep. Reed does rush. Yeah. They've been kind of using him everywhere. And that's another reason why, like I said, I do like the guy. They're trying to get him the ball as much as they can. So.
And mark it down, Joe. Mark it down. It was Waller over Dalton Kincaid. That's what the other matchup was.
Waller, Kincaid, Wilson, and Reed. Those are good ones.
Yep, I love it. I hope we get you to the promised land there, my man. You know you're going to be hitting me up on my DMs if I don't, and I'm going to be sitting there apologizing, and we'll eat some borscht together or something like that. But we're going to lead you the right way, my man. He says at Michael's end zone. He says, who do I flex today? Half PPR. Kenneth Walker, Brandon Cooks, or Trey McBride. Joe, what do you think?
I think Brandon Cooks is questionable last time I saw. Kenneth Walker's come back from that injury. Seattle's been so odd. I don't think I can. I know McBride's the hottest out of these three guys, I think, right? But I don't think I can play McBride over even with the PPR. This is tough. I mean, you would say Walker a no-brainer. They're playing San Francisco. Not a great match. I'm still going to go Walker here. I don't love this one. And Cooks can get you in the end zone. You just got to keep an eye on that injury status. But I think Jeff Ty goes to the runner, which is liberal to call this a tie anyway. So I think you got to go Kenneth Walker.
You on mute there, Mike?
Yep. Sorry about that. I was going to say, what do you have to say here, Jeff? What do you think on this one?
I think it's a fairly easy pick out of there. I'm going Walker. To me, I mean, Cooks, he's had a couple of good weeks, but he's inconsistent at best. And don't get me wrong, Trey McBride has been top tier tight end, but they are going up against San Francisco, and I just don't think that's a good enough matchup to take him over to running back. Even if Charbonnet is getting 30 or 35% of the snaps, I'm still going with Walker.
Oh, sorry about that. Had some children difficulties there. We got for me, I think Kenneth Walker. Yeah, for sure. I mean, the guy's obviously the volume play here. I do like Trey McBride a lot today. I think he does get, 4 catches for about 45 yards, possible touchdown. But I think Kenneth Walker's the guy that's going to get you that 100 yards. I think he's going to get you a touchdown. I think that Seattle team is going to have to rely on that ball running on the ground a lot, especially when we're wondering if it's going to be Geno Smith that even starts today.
That's a good point.
Give me Kenneth Walker all day long there too. Let's see here. We got our man at Fantasy Manatee. Manatee, come back at tea. That's what I used to always say when there was a manatee down there in Florida. He says Likely or Waller at TE, or I'm sorry, Taysom Hill, Likely or Waller at TE in PPR. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, that sounded like a really racist Indian impression there, man. I don't really know.
No, that's a very northern. That's a very northern call right there. Almost Canadian, even.
Yes, so many Canadians sound like that. I can't tell you the number of ice hockey players I hear talk like that, but I digress. So I would say of these three, I mean, I like all of them actually, but I just think Taysom Hill has kind of that X factor where he's going to get those rushes, and he just to have that chance at the extra points over Likely and Waller. I think I'm going to have to lean his way.
I don't mind that a bit. What do you think here, Joe?
Taysom Hill's such a head scratcher. Like, I'm looking at these stats. I mean, he had 13 rushing attempts last week, and then another 2 catches. You just don't know what the hell they're going to do with this guy. I'm out on Waller. I know you guys like him more than I do, and he probably will have a decent week, but I just need to see it first from him in them in general. Isaiah Likely's kind of interesting because without Mark Andrews, Likely's been decent. I can't find him here on this main slate.
That's because they're playing the late game.
Yeah, they're the late game. I know Likely scored last week, if I remember correctly. Oh man, I think I'm going Taysom Hill. I think those touches are too hard to resist, and you could get you 4 with the passing touchdown. He's going to get you PPR with a couple catches. He's going to get some red zone rushing opportunities to the chagrin of Alvin Kamara owners. I think I'm going to go Taysom Hill this week.
I don't mind Taysom Hill either. I think that's who I'm leaning towards. I do like Waller a lot today. I do actually like Likely a lot, but I think that you're right with the red zone opportunities that I see with Taysom Hill going in there. It's going to be Taysom Hill. What do you got, Joe?
Tyreek Hill's out.
Tyreek Hill is out. My goodness sake. So, Jeff, do you have to go now? Because I heard you were the new receiver for the Dolphins that's actually going to be playing today.
No. So I'm filling in for Josh Allen because he's throwing to Josh Allen and having pass interference in Josh Allen. So I'll be in Buffalo. I'll be in Buffalo.
What a tangled web we weave.
Exactly. And now we're starting to get to the bottom of it right here. So we got at Darth McNugget says A-Chain, Barkley, Rashad White, or Swift. He needs two. Jeff, lead this guy off. What are we doing here?
I'll tell you, I think this is fairly easy, in my opinion, to take Barkley and White. Not that I don't like Swift and A-Chain. He's splitting carries. Even if he is healthy, he's still splitting carries with Mostert. I think Mostert's the better back there. But Barkley and White's been on a tear. I wasn't on him as much as I should have last week when his name came up a couple times. So I'm going White and Barkley.
I like White and Barkley here. What do you say here, Joe?
Yeah, I think I agree. And only because A-Chain's got to split those carries with Mostert. Rashad White, to be honest, White to me is the number one here, even over Barkley. White's been insane in the pass game for them, and he's getting in the end zone every freaking week. So I think I'm going to go White and Barkley here too.
Excellent. And I actually agree with both of you guys. I think, I love A-Chain. I love Swift, but I don't like him as much as I think I love Barkley and Rashad White. Rashad White has been getting it done. Barkley himself has been getting it done too, man. He's a solid start week after week. Definitely returning that first round value for you. So let's go with those guys. At Tykel 62255 says Superflex league, Gino or Flacco, laughing face emoji. This is week 15, guys. This is what week 15 looks like for some guys. When you're the guy that's sitting there saying, do I sit A-Chain or do I just look at these guys and say, man, Gino or Flacco, thank God I'm in a 10-team league. Just kidding. What do you think here, Joe?
Yeah, so well said. So well said. Yeah, this is, I think with the matchups still being what they are, I think I'm going to go Flacco this week. The one thing I'm trying to look at real quick is I'm trying to see what Geno Smith did in their first shot. Oh, no, wait a minute. Who's Seattle playing this week?
Philly.
That's my mistake. I was thinking San Francisco. That's Arizona. You know what? I'm going to go Geno Smith because I think they're going to have to throw a lot. I had that mixed up. And home against Chicago in the rain, I could see Flacco not having to do a lot to win that game. There's no way Seattle can compete without Geno Smith having a decent game. So I'm going to go Geno.
I don't mind that. What do you say here, Jeff?
Can I take a mulligan? I don't like either of these guys. I mean, so I'll say Flacco only because since he's been back, those two games he's been back, he's had 44 and 45 pass attempts respectively in each of the games. So they are throwing the ball, but I mean, I can't say that I'm completely confident with that, but I'm leaning Flacco, I guess.
Yeah. And I'm the same way. I think Flacco, it sucks, but Geno is not a guy that's actually even been confidently staying on the field out there. So give me Flacco. Again, I'm not liking it, buddy. I'm not liking it. At Scott Mundy says half PPR. Jaden Reed or Jackson Smith and Jigba? Jeff, what do you think here?
I think to me this is an easy one with Jaden Reed. He's just the better target, and assumingly we'll kind of get more opportunity than Jackson Smith and Jigba, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So I'm going Reed.
Yep, I agree with that completely. What do you say here, Joe?
100%. You keep Smith and Jigba on your roster if you're in a keeper dynasty league because he's a great option for next year, but you're playing Jaden Reed today.
Yep. Again, the utilization of this guy from the backfield or on the slot, give me him because I swear he's going to score another touchdown today. But
Smith and Jigba, real quick though, he's taken the 2 over from Lockett. Like I think we can. I mean, and even if you look at target share lately, I think it's pretty much 2 and 2A.
So while I kind of agree with you, I think exactly, you just said it right there, 2 and 2A. I think that they're sharing Lockett's targets right now, and that's why I can't lean on Jackson Smith this week. If he was getting those Lockett targets all the way, it'd be a no-brainer Jackson Smith but you still got Lockett there that commands some volume. And that sucks for Jackson Smith and Jigbo owners. Hopefully after the season's over, we can get some clarification over there, like what they're going to be doing on the future there. Says, I'm Brian Fellows. He needs it's full point PPR, and he needs 2. DJ Moore, who was just let know that he is playing today. He lost his injury designation. He'll be playing. Ayuk or Puka? Who we sitting out of this mess? Again, let's go back to that Geno and Flacco question, and just know that this is a very, very third world, however you say that, in fantasy problem. What do you think here, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, with it being a full point PPR, it's really hard to sit Puka, and that's what I want to do. I want to start Ayuk and DJ Moore, but full point PPR, Puka has those weeks where he goes for 8 to 10 catches, and that, I mean, that's like a touchdown or 2 without him scoring a touchdown or 2. So that's where I struggle a little bit there. It's really hard to ever sit DJ Moore. It's crazy to think you sit Ayuk. It's crazy to think you sit Ayuk. Debo's been really hot lately. How much do they really need to throw to beat Arizona? DJ Moore, weather, I'm going to begrudgingly I think with the weather, and I think I'm going to sit DJ Moore, but I don't like it. What do you guys think?
I don't mind that. What do you have to say here, Jeff?
I love Joe's analysis of so that's a good one.
That's when you know the gears are smoking, my man.
It's like I made the chess move, but I can't take my hand off the piece yet.
But touch move rule, now you have to.
Yes.
Yep, I got you.
Yes.
So I'm a little bit more confident in saying Puka and Ayuk, just because the Niners have been the hottest offense going, and Nakua is going to have it. We got him all over DFS this week. I just think he's going to be a great option. I'm sitting DJ Moore reluctantly, just more because of the matchup, because Cleveland's defense is legit, and I just think that Ayuk and Puka will have more opportunity than DJ Moore today.
Gotcha. I'm actually going a different direction than you guys. I'm going to be sitting Ayuk with Deebo Samuels coming back. Has not just been the same points monster that he was earlier in the season when Deebo Samuels was out of there. So I'm going to be playing Puka and Moore. I'm going to be sitting Ayuk, but go with the guys. You got Puka and Ayuk, and you're going to be sitting DJ Moore. I don't like the matchup against Cleveland. I don't, but I feel like Joe Flacco's quarterback, that Cleveland defense is going to be on the field a lot. And I feel like Justin Fields can do a lot of things with his legs to open that defense up a little bit. At Tibbs_2012 says Ferguson or Kincaid. DJ Moore, Zay Flowers, full point PPR. Jeff, lead us off here.
Oh, geez. Well, I would say I like both Ferguson and Kincaid, but I'd say I'm gonna say Ferguson just because you do have the Dawson Knox factor over there in Buffalo, and because at tight end Ferguson's just going to be getting all the tight end targets, so to speak, and then. Even going against what I just said, basically, I'm taking Moore just because he's been way more consistent over Zay Flowers. I get it. I just said it's a very tough matchup, but DJ Moore has just been much better than Zay Flowers and will have more targets, I believe.
I don't mind that a bit. What do you say here, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, DJ Moore, 26, 25, and 22 his last 3 DraftKings games. I didn't realize it was quite that good for him. And Ayuk's been like high teens too, going back to that last one. But I definitely think you go DJ Moore over Zay Flowers here. Ferguson, Kincaid's a tough one. Feels like we're getting a lot of questions of guys against each other in that game, which is going to make a really interesting watch for all these guys who sat a Buffalo guy for a Dallas player or vice versa. I guess, yeah, that's to me, that's a toss-up. I guess I'll go Ferguson. I'll say Ferguson's got a better shot maybe at getting in the end zone. He seems like the belle of the ball there from a red zone perspective for Dak lately.
Yep, and I like that too. I think I'm going to go Ferguson here. He's been getting involved in that offense just enough. Kincaid, like I said, I'm just a little bit hesitant about getting any Bills out there just because that aren't named Josh Allen, because Josh Allen continuously keeps throwing him to himself. So with that, I'm also going to go with DJ Moore well over Zay Flowers.
I'll say this though. I might be just after looking at a couple things here. I may be 51% DJ Moore and 49 Zay Flowers. Flowers has had a touchdown each of the last 2 games, and they're going up against an atrocious Jacksonville defense who can be had. So it maybe isn't necessarily as cut and dry as I made it sound to begin with, because, I mean, Cleveland's defense is number 1 against the pass. So I would just say, again, a flip of a coin, but I'm barely leaning DJ Moore and because of those factors.
Gotcha. And so for the final question here, guys, we got at DDraco12345 says A-Chain if we're active, or Keaton Mitchell full PPR. What do you think here, Joe?
A-Chain. Listen, the Keaton Mitchell thing is fun, and he's taking targets and he's taking rushes, but he's not getting in the end zone unless he breaks a play, because you still got Jackson and Gus Edwards. I just think if A-Chain is playing and it's a target, it's a carry split there like it normally is, I like A-Chain. He's definitely got a better chance of scoring a touchdown, in my opinion.
I like that a lot. What do you say here, Jeff?
Yeah, and from what I've just seen, A-Chain is active, so I'm leaning him. Keaton Mitchell basically had that one game, and you're just banking on this dude attempting to get a home run. I mean, he gets about maybe 4 carries he can either go for 7 yards or 78 if he breaks one. So, but you can't necessarily just bank on that. So you got to go A-Chain.
Yeah, I mean, don't overthink it. Keaton Mitchell is a great option if A-Chain isn't the other guy out there for you. I don't mind Keaton Mitchell against a lot of guys, in fact, but against A-Chain, he's just going to get too much volume. He's going to get too much done. So with that, guys, we are caught up on questions. Do you guys have anything to add before we go ahead and get on out of here for the day? Week 15 playoffs, boys.
Well, I'll say, as always, again, Die Hard is a Christmas movie. 'Tis the season to be merry. That is not my name coming from the Griswold family Christmas, but wish you guys a happy playoffs today.
Yep, absolutely. Happy playoffs, and we will be back again next week. We might have a little bit of a modified schedule, so make sure you're following us on Twitter, and we'll be updating those as the week goes on, trying to figure out schedules and things like that. So until then, guys, we will see you next week for the DFS. In the meantime, hit that like, subscribe, hit that bell, follow all things Triple Play Fantasy. They got all your baseball, they got all your basketball, they got all that stuff, man, sitting there waiting in the haunches for you. So get on there. Let's get going. As Jeff says, let's rattle them pots and